Now we are moving to concept of cost. And in the concept of cost, we'll be looking at the short run and the long run cost. The short run cost is the production planning period where both fixed and variable factors of production, both fixed and variable factor of production are employed. That is to say, both the fixed factor and the variable factors of production are applied in the short run cost. And for this course, we'll be looking at these subtopics, which are, number one is the fixed cost. What is fixed cost? Fixed costs are costs that does not vary with the level of output. In fact, sometimes people refer to them as the costs that cannot move. They are so fixed that they cannot move, but their application in cost is very, very important. In fact, fixed costs determine how far or the strength of a production process. And this can be represented on the table where you have this fixed, short run fixed cost. This is depicted on a graph, price and quantity, or we say X and Y. Now next is variable cost. Now what is variable cost? Variable costs are costs that will vary with the level of output. That is, the amount of input will determine the level at which we produce. This is represented on a graph where we have X, Y, short run variable cost. This is how it's represented. Now an example of a variable cost is raw materials. The amount of raw materials bought will determine the amount that will be produced. And this can also be applied or probably calculated when we have variable cost equals to total cost minus fixed cost. Next is total cost. Total cost is the total amount of what it takes in terms of producing a particular commodity. Now, sometimes some people refer to it as the summation of all the effort put together to make sure that a product is produced. Some people even refer to it as the summation of both fixed cost and variable cost. And this is graphically represented. Total cost is graphically represented when you have fixed cost plus variable cost. Now we now have this to be total cost or short run total cost. Then we have short run variable cost and we have short run fixed cost. Next is average cost. What is average cost? Even before we go to the average cost, total cost, it should be noted that total cost is applicable or probably is calculated by having total cost equals to fixed cost plus variable cost. Please bear in mind that in the short run cost, both the variable factor and the fixed factor are applied. Next is average cost. Average cost is what it takes in terms of producing a unit output. Sometimes also referred to as a unit of the total output produced. And this is calculated when we have total cost divided by quantity. This is graphically represented when you have something like this. So you have short run average cost. Next is marginal cost. Marginal cost is the additional cost as a result of an extra unit of output. So this is actually, so marginal cost here, marginal cost is the changes in total cost divided by changes in output. So from the word marginal, marginal means extra. It's an additional cost arrived at as a result of producing extra unit of output. So from here, we'll go and solve questions. Now, let's consider this example. Given the cost function as cost equals to 200 plus 10 q squared. said if the output produced is 5, determine the total fixed cost, that is the TFC, which is also known as the short run fixed cost. Then you have TVC, which is total variable cost, which can also depict short run variable cost, or total cost, that is TC, or average total cost. You should bear in mind that in the short run cost, what happened is that both the fixed cost and the variable cost are applicable, and that is why you will have cost to be equals to 200 without any variable. This depicts fixed cost. This is fixed cost, while you have total that is total variable cost, which is 10q squared. So the addition of both the fixed cost and the variable cost will give us total cost. Now here they said find total fixed cost. So total fixed cost here, that is total fixed cost for number 1, total fixed cost will be equals to 200. Why the second one, total variable cost? Total variable cost will be 10q squared. And don't forget that they said q equals to, that is the output produced, is 5. So to find variable cost here, it will be 10q or probably, or 10q squared equals to 10 into bracket 5 raised to power 2. So you have 10 into bracket 5 raised to power 2 is 25. 25 times 10 equals to 250. So our variable cost, which is total variable cost, equals to 250. Next is total cost. As I've said earlier, that total cost is both the addition of fixed cost and variable cost. And since we have our fixed cost to be 200 and our variable cost to be 250, so our total cost will be equals to 200 plus 250, which will give us 450 naira. The next one is average total cost. As I said earlier, that average total cost, which is also short run cost, short run average cost, can also be divided, or probably can be calculated when you have total cost divided by quantity. Our total cost here, don't forget, is 450 divided by our quantity is 5. So therefore we have what? 90 naira as our average total cost. We can also represent, sometimes questions come on a table, and we're going to solve that using the table method. Now let's consider a tabled cost where we have output, fixed cost, that is total fixed cost, and total variable cost. You can see from here that total fixed cost is fixed. The numbers are fixed. You have 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. As a result of the fact that it's a fixed cost and it does not vary with the level of output. And even the output, you can see it varies. But the level in the amount of output does not determine the total fixed cost. It still remains fixed. Unlike the variable cost that changes. And you can see here that as the output increases, also the variable cost increases. Now we can solve the total cost, we can solve the average total cost, we can also solve the average fixed cost, average variable cost, and marginal cost. And this is done. Now, how do you find fixed cost? From the formula, I told you that total cost equals to fixed cost plus variable cost. Now we are supposed to add these two together now. So we have total fixed cost plus total variable cost. 10 plus 0 gives us 10. 10 plus 4, 14. 10 plus 6, 16. 10 plus 8, 18. 10 plus 10, 20. And 10 plus 12, you have 22. That is for total cost. Now for average total cost, you have the formula to be total cost divided by quantity. Now total cost divided by quantity, this is our total cost and this is our quantity. So we divide. Now 10 divided by 0 gives us 0. It's undefined, so it gives us 0. 14 divided by 1 gives us 14. 16 divided by 2 gives us 8. 18 divided by 3 gives us 6. 20 divided by 4 gives us 5. 122 divided by 5 will give us 4.5. The next one is average fixed cost. Average fixed cost the cost of producing a unit fixed cost, and it's calculated when you have average fixed cost equals to, that is, fixed cost divided by quantity. Our fixed cost here is 10, so we divide it by the quantity, which is output. So 10 divided by 0 gives us 0 because it's undefined. 10 divided by 1 gives us 10. 10 divided by 2 gives us 5. 10 divided by 3 gives us 3.33 and so on. So we have 3.3. 10 divided by 4 gives us 2.5. 10 divided by 5 gives us 2. Now the next is average variable cost. An average variable cost is the cost of producing a unit variable cost, and is calculated when we have average variable cost equals to total variable cost divided by quantity. So we locate our total variable cost divided by quantity, which is the output. So we have 0 divided by 0, which is 0. 4 divided by 1, 4. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 3 is 2.6. 10 divided by 4 gives us 2.5. Y12 divided by 5 gives us 2.4. So the next one is marginal cost. So put it in mind that marginal cost, as the name implies, additional, is an additional to total cost as a result of producing extra unit of output. As a result of producing extra unit of output. And don't forget that I said marginal cost is equals to changes in total cost divided by changes in quantity. Also, don't forget that I said that changes in quantity here depicts total quantity 2 minus total quantity 1 divided by quantity 2 rather, minus quantity 1. Now to solve for marginal cost here, we have output and also total cost, which is 1. But there is no 0. So therefore, at the beginning of every marginal cost is constant. Some people refer to it as 0. Now another reason is that at the beginning of every production, it's always assumed that there is no additional. So that is why it's constant. So we'll move to the next one, which is 2. So don't forget, yeah, then we have TC2. So TC2, that is total cost 2, which is 14 here, minus total cost 1, which is 10, divided by output 1, which is quantity 2, divided by quantity 1. So we have total cost, which is 14, 2, minus total cost 1, 10, divided by 1 minus 0. So we have 4 divided by 1, which is 4. So we have 4 here. Then we'll go to the next one. That will be total cost 3 minus total cost 2 divided by quantity 2 minus quantity 1. So we have 16 minus 14 divided by 2 minus 1. So we have 2 over 1, which is 2. Next one is total cost 4. So total cost 4, 18 minus total cost 3, 16 divided by quantity 4, that will be 3 minus 2. So we have 2 divided by 1, which is also 2. Next one is total cost 5, which is 20 minus total cost 4, which is 18, divided by quantity 5 minus quantity 4, which is 4 minus 3. So we have 2 over 1, which is also 2. The next one is total cost 6. Total cost 6 here, which is 22 minus total cost 5, which is 20, divided by 5, which is quantity 6 minus quantity 5 minus 4. So we have 22 minus 2 minus 20 is 2 over 1. So we have 2 also. So with this, we've been able to solve questions on the table. Now we move to long run. What happened at the long run? Now the long run cost. Now don't forget that at the short run, we said that both the fixed factor and the variable factors are applied. That is to say, both the fixed factors of production and the variable factors of production, which are land for the fixed and cost of raw materials, which are variables, or for the variable factors of production, are combined together. Now, but at the long run cost, what happens is that all the factors of production varies. No factor of production that is fixed is considered. So we can also, then in solving questions on long run cost, we apply integration and differentiation. And we can do that by considering this kind of question. Given the total cost TC as cost equals to 5Q plus 100, said determine marginal cost. And number 2 says given the cost function as cost equals to 100 plus 50Q minus 5Q square, determine marginal cost. Now to solve for the first one, which is cost equals to 5Q plus 100. Now we are asked to look for marginal cost. Now to look for marginal cost here, we have to apply differentiation. And if we are applying differentiation, we have the C, the Q, showing changes or difference. Now for this, in differentiation, any number without variable is counted 0. The one with variable, that is with power, variable and power, we minus 1 from the power and multiply the power times the coefficients. So we have here, we have 5Q plus 0 because numbers without variable is counted 0. Here, don't forget that the variable here is having the power of 1. So we multiply 1 times the coefficient, which is 5, and minus 1 from the power. So we have 1 times 5 times 5Q raised to power 1 minus 1. So here we have 1 times 5 is 5. Q raised to power 1 minus 1 is 0. Anything raised to power 0, we know that is 1. So we have 5 times 1, which is now 5. So marginal cost here is equals to 5. For the second question, where we have C equals to, that is cost, equals to 100 plus 50Q minus 5Q square. We apply differentiation. And in applying differentiation, we have 100 here to be equals to 0. So we have MC, which is equals to the C, the Q, which is equals to 100, which will now be 0 plus 50Q raised to power 1 minus 5Q raised to power 2. We apply differentiation also. So we have 1 times 50Q raised to power 1 minus 1 minus 2 times 5 Q raised to power 2 minus 1. 5 times 50 is 50. Q raised to power 0. 1 minus 1. So we have minus 2 times 5 is 10. 10 raised to power Q raised to power 2 minus 1 is 1. So we know that 50 Q raised to power 0 will give us 50 because anything raised to power 0 is 1. And 1 times 50 gives us 50 minus 10Q. So our answer here for marginal cost will be 50 minus 10Q.